Our movie begins in Seoul, South Korea. We meet a soldier named Kim, who's with his team in Hanji to defuse a bomb. This bomb is American, left over from a war between the US and South Korea a few years back. Kim and his squad manage to defuse it pretty quickly. Meanwhile, we see Kim's pregnant wife, Yoon-ju, at the hospital for a checkup. After the bomb's disarmed, Kim calls her on his way home, asking about her condition and if it's a boy or a girl. But Yoon-ju's kinda annoyed, telling him to stick to his job. She's upset because being a soldier, Kim doesn't get to spend much time with her, which often makes her mad. Kim's trying to smooth things over with Yoon-ju when suddenly a massive earthquake hits. Kim sees everyone scrambling, so he hangs up and tries to escape as the quake intensifies and buildings start collapsing. He tries to drive away, but his car gets stuck after hitting another vehicle. With no other choice, he gets out and sees a huge building crumbling down. He runs for his life and thankfully survives, making it back home. News of the earthquake spreads like wildfire across Korea. Every news channel is reporting on it because a quake this powerful is unprecedented there, practically destroying half the city. Turns out it was caused by an eruption of a volcano called St3al, located right on the border between South Korea and China. This caused a ton of damage in both South Korea and a Chinese city, though South Korea got hit harder. Next, we meet Professor Rocky. 3 years ago, he actually predicted this earthquake, but no one listened to him. Now he's about to leave South Korea, knowing more severe quakes are on the way. But then, a secretary for the president named Soo-yeon shows up. She wants Rocky to come with her because the South Korean and Chinese presidents have a special meeting to discuss the volcano and how to stop the quakes. They need Professor Rocky there. Professor Rocky isn't keen on going because he figures no one will take him seriously, just like before. 3 years ago, they just laughed at his predictions. But Soo-yeon eventually convinces him to go to the meeting. Once it starts, many high-ranking officials share their opinions. After a bit, Professor Rocky gets a chance to speak. He explains that only one volcano has erupted so far, but there are 3 more huge volcanoes beneath St3al that are about to blow. He warns that if those erupt, they won't be able to save their city. He says he has a solution. They need to cause a massive explosion deep inside the volcano, but a regular explosion won't cut it. They need to detonate a nuclear bomb. This would create a huge void underground, allowing all the lava from the upper volcanoes to drain into that space, reducing the pressure and preventing further eruptions. Professor Rocky tries to explain this practically using a plastic cup. However, the Chinese president and other leaders disagree with Professor Rocky because this would require a huge number of nuclear bombs, which neither China nor South Korea possess. Professor Rocky then suggests that the American embassy in North Korea has a lot of nuclear bombs from the war. He thinks they could talk to the North Korean president for help. He also says they could just use the powder from the nuclear bombs secretly so the Americans wouldn't even know, and it would save hundreds of lives. Everyone at the meeting thinks Professor Rocky is crazy. They're worried if the American president finds out, it'll spark another war, so his proposal is rejected. But after the meeting, the South Korean president calls Professor Rocky into his room and asks if there's any other way. Rocky says no. The president then decides they'll go ahead with the mission anyway because it's a matter of life and death for hundreds of people. They have to get those nuclear bombs from the American embassy, but they'll do it secretly so no one finds out, as no one would agree to it. So the president tells his secretary to put together a secret team of soldiers as fast as possible. We then see Kim and his commanding officer approaches him. The officer tells Kim that the president tasked him with forming a secret team for a mission to save their city, and Kim is the most qualified soldier they need. He asks Kim to join the team. Kim hesitates, explaining that his wife is 8 months pregnant. He says he's the only one with her and can't leave her alone for a mission. The officer tells him that his small sacrifice could save countless lives in 2 countries, and that their team will take care of his wife, so he shouldn't worry about her. He assures Kim that they'll look after her to make sure she's okay. Kim agrees to the officer's request and signs the paper to join the secret mission. That night, when Kim gets home, he struggles to tell his wife about the secret mission. Yoon-ju is already mad at him, but he gathers his courage and tells her anyway. Yoon-ju's upset, asking how he can leave her alone in her condition. She points out the mission is risky and worries what would happen if something happened to him, asking him to think about their child. Kim reassures her, saying he'll be fine and they'll complete the mission successfully. He promises it'll only be for a few days and he'll be back soon, adding that their team will look after her in the meantime. Yoon-ju understands and agrees to let Kim go on the mission. The next morning, a large team of soldiers is assembled for the secret mission. An officer explains the mission in detail. He shows them a picture of a man named John, who is currently in jail. 10 years ago, Jeon was a high-ranking secretary in North Korea's armed forces and considered an honest man. But he was later found to be a murderer and a major thief, leading to his dismissal and a life sentence. However, Jeon can now help them with the mission because he knows exactly where the Americans stored their nuclear bombs in North Korea. So their mission is to break Jeon out of a North Korean jail. The soldiers are split into two teams and fly towards North Korea. Mid-flight, one of the planes loses engine power, catches fire and crashes, killing all the soldiers on board. Kim's plane also loses control, making him and his team anxious. Unsure what to do, Kim tells everyone to parachute out. They do, saving their lives. Since the captain of their mission was on the crash plane, Kim is now put in charge of the entire team, becoming their captain. The president and Professor Rocky contact the team and tell Kim that the fallen soldier's plane had a blueprint vital for completing the mission, and they can't do it without it. So Kim takes one of his team members and heads back to the crash site. After searching thoroughly, they find the blueprint among the wreckage. Then everyone heads towards the prison where Jeon is. Within hours, they arrive to find no guards or police officers, as a major earthquake there caused everyone to flee. This makes it much easier to get Jeon out. They call out his name and find him in a cell. Kim asks if he's Jeon and tells him they've come to free him. Jeon says he's been trying to get out for 7 years and no one helped. So he questions why they're suddenly there to free him. Kim explains they're South Korean soldiers on a secret mission to save their country from destruction. They need to steal a large amount of nuclear bomb powder from the American embassy there and require his cooperation. Jeon replies that people don't help others without some self-interest. Kim and his team then get Jeon out of jail. First, Jeon freshens up, shaves his hair and beard, and then talks to Kim. Initially, Jeon doesn't want to help. Kim tells him if he doesn't, they'll turn him back over to the police, but if he does help, they'll make him a South Korean citizen, freeing him for life. Jeon agrees. Jeon is pretty cunning and manages to steal Kim's wallet. Inside, he finds an ultrasound report for Kim's wife and realizes she's expecting. He then finds their mission map. He studies it carefully for a bit, then eats it, meaning only Jeon now knows how to complete the mission, as he's memorized the map. Kim and his team, with Jeon, set off on their mission. Kim and his team are eating chocolates when Jeon asks why they're eating alone and if he's not human. He takes a chocolate, eats one, and pockets the rest. Later, Kim checks his pocket but can't find his wallet, which had their mission blueprint. Kim gets worried. Suddenly, Jeon tells him he ate their blueprint and it's now only in his head. One of the soldiers gets angry and tries to hit Jeon, but Kim and his team stop him. They can't upset Jeon now, or he won't help them, and they don't have the mission map anymore, so they have to keep Jeon on their side and say nothing to him. A bit later, Jeon says he needs to go to the bathroom, so they pull over in a forest. Kim sends a soldier with Jeon. Jeon, seizing the opportunity, attacks the soldier, takes his gun, and escapes. After a long time, when neither the soldier nor Jeon returns, Kim gets suspicious. He and his team go into the forest and find out Jeon has escaped. Kim gets worried because they can't complete the mission without Jeon, so they all start searching for him. Meanwhile, Jeon goes to a woman named Riri, who is Jeon's wife. Jeon tells Riri that she must have been so happy keeping him in jail for 7 years. He says he did everything for her, and if she didn't love him, she could have just said so, and he would have left with her daughter. But instead, she conspired with that awful person to frame him, making him out to be a killer and a bad person in society's eyes. He then tells her he's truly become a bad person now, but not to worry, he won't hurt her. He just wants to know where his daughter, Shi-hun, is, as he only wants to live with her. His wife tells him that after he went to jail, Shi-hun stayed with her brother in South Korea. Meanwhile, Kim and his team are searching the entire city for Jeon. Suddenly, they hear gunshots from a building. They rush there and see it's Jeon. But he didn't shoot anyone. He just scared Riri a bit. Kim learns that Jeon loves his daughter very much. Kim then tells Jeon he'll help him find his daughter if Jeon helps them with their mission. Jeon agrees, motivated by his daughter. Jeon leads them to the American nuclear bomb site where many American soldiers are present. The American soldiers start shooting at Kim and his team, leading to a fierce battle. Many soldiers die in the crossfire. However, Kim's team and the American soldiers don't back down. Kim and Jeon together take down most of the soldiers. Afterward, Jeon leads everyone to a secret chamber. There's a door in front of the chamber which Jeon opens. They all see that the American nuclear bombs are inside. The soldiers then start extracting powder from the nuclear bombs for the explosion. But first, they lock Jeon in a separate room so he can't escape again. Meanwhile, the volcano erupts again, causing a massive earthquake across the city. This quake is so strong it reaches China and North Korea, including where Jeon and Kim are. Jeon's hands are cuffed, but he manages to break free from the handcuffs and tries to escape. In South South Korea, the Han River experiences huge tidal waves, which start moving towards the city. Kim's wife Yoon-ju is outside at this time on the Han River bridge heading to the doctor. But just then, the bridge starts collapsing and the powerful waves hit it. Everything on the bridge falls into the water, and Yoon-ju is swept away, but she manages to climb out onto the riverbank. Kim finishes his work and gets out with John and his team. Kim informs the president, who along with his entire team, is delighted. Now Kim's next mission is to detonate the bomb beneath the volcano. So Kim and his entire team with John head towards the volcano, but suddenly American soldiers attack them, shooting at Kim and his team. Kim then has his team fight back, leading to a fierce battle between the two groups. Many soldiers from both sides die in the exchange of gunfire. Just as the American soldiers are about to kill Kim, John arrives in a car and drives Kim away. He then knocks Kim unconscious with a machine and takes the nuclear bombs to another location. Meanwhile, the American president finds out that the South Korean soldiers are carrying out a mission against their agreement. So a high-ranking American military officer comes to meet the South Korean president. He asks the president if he's not ashamed of himself, being a country's president and doing such anti-state activities. The president responds by asking what else he could have done, if he should have just sat by and watched his citizens die. He asserts that as a president, he's responsible for his people's safety. He then asks if he did anything wrong. The officer tells him they don't want to hear any of that and demands that he immediately stop the mission or there will be severe consequences. The president is forced to announce the mission's halt. However, within a few hours, he resigns, feeling like a failed leader who couldn't do anything to save his country's people. Meanwhile, Professor Rocky is also leaving South Korea. On the other hand, Jeon learns that the South Korean mission has been halted, so he sells the nuclear bombs to a third party. Meanwhile, Kim regains consciousness and overhears Jeon's entire conversation. Kim then tells Jeon not to do it, asking if he has any idea how much damage it would cause after all the effort they put into getting those nuclear bombs. But Jeon doesn't listen to him. Jeon stops the car in the middle of the road and gets out. Just then, Kim seizes the opportunity and tries to drive away with the car. But Jeon sees him. Jeon struggles and manages to get back into the car. He then starts fighting with Kim, and they both struggle inside the car. Their car loses control and swerves into a nearby forest, but they continue to fight. After a while, they realize their car is about to crash into a tree. Jeon pulls Kim to one side of the car, and they both get severely injured, falling unconscious there. Meanwhile, we see Professor Rocky on a bus leaving. At this time, Kim's wife, Yoon-ju, also gets on the bus because she has to survive for her child's sake. Yoon-ju is crying a lot. Professor Rocky asks her why she's crying. Yoon-ju says her husband is a soldier who went on a mission to save the country, and she doesn't know if she'll ever see him again. She says her delivery is due in a few days, and she doesn't know how she'll live with her child without Kim. Professor Rocky feels bad for Yoon-ju and comforts her. Within moments, they reach the airport. Everyone is passing through the border by showing their passports. But Yoon-ju isn't allowed to go because there's some issue with her passport. Professor Rocky sees this and returns to the South Korean border because he can't just leave a pregnant woman in such danger. Professor Rocky keeps Yoon-ju with him and calls Soo-yeon, the president's secretary. Professor Rocky tells Soo-yeon to prepare everything again. He says he's not leaving the country and will fight to save it until his last breath. He insists they shouldn't be afraid of America's threats and must restart their mission. He tells her to get everything ready and that he'll be in the office right away. After that, Professor Rocky takes Yoon-ju to their office. Meanwhile, Kim and Jeon have regained consciousness, but they're both very hungry and have no food. So they go to a shop that's almost destroyed due to the earthquake. They don't find much food, but after a lot of searching, they find a Coke. They drink the Coke to satisfy their hunger. A little later, Kim sees a pair of children's clips and puts them in his pocket. Then, they both get back into their car. Jeon points a gun at Kim's head and tells him he's sold the nuclear bombs, so he should let him take them or he'll shoot him. Kim then tells him, okay, he can take the nuclear bombs because there's no point in explaining to a selfish person like him who doesn't value human lives. He says he doesn't want to talk to a traitor like him anymore. But Kim reminds him that he destroyed their mission map, so he demands Jeon draw it for him and then leave with the nuclear bombs. Kim says he'll go back to the embassy and collect the nuclear bomb powder alone to save his country by himself. Jeon then draws the mission map for Kim and leaves without the nuclear bombs, realizing his mistake. Just then, Professor Rocky contacts Kim and informs him that their mission has changed slightly. Now, the nuclear bombs need to be detonated much deeper inside the volcano, which makes the problem even worse. John drew the map according to the old mission, but now the mission is much deeper in the volcano, and the map John drew doesn't include the lower section. However, to complete the mission, they now need the complete map. So Kim goes searching for Joan again because no one else knows the map's blueprint except Joan. Meanwhile, we see Joan arriving at the address his wife gave him to find his daughter, but he sees that the entire area has been destroyed by the earthquake. He then thinks he might never find his daughter, but suddenly he sees a girl in front of him and immediately recognizes her. It's his daughter, Si-hun. Joan stares intently at his daughter. A while later, he tries to talk to her, but Si-hun doesn't recognize him and moves away. Joan then takes out the chocolate he got from Kim and tells Si-hun that he has chocolates and that she used to love them. Si-hun takes the chocolates from Joan's hand. Joan then asks Si-hun if she recognizes him, telling her he's her unfortunate father who was kept away from his child for 7 years without any crime, and asks her to call him dad just once, but Si-hun doesn't reply. Just then, the third party Joan tried to sell the nuclear bombs to arrives. They ask Joan about the bombs. Joan tells them that no one has the bombs now. The third party leader gets very angry and shoots Joan. Just then, Kim arrives with his team. Kim acts cleverly and tells everyone that the bomb will explode there in a few seconds. Hearing this, all the third-party members flee in fear. Kim then tells Joan that their mission has changed a bit and asks him to tell him the path to the lower part, saying he'll go alone and Joan can leave with his daughter afterward. But Joan tells him he won't let him go alone and wants to go with him, because only if the country is saved will his daughter be saved. Kim is very happy about this. Before heading to the mission, Joan goes to his daughter. He gives her the gifts he found in a shop. Joan wants to tell his daughter many things, but no words come out of his mouth. Only tears stream from his eyes. Kim realizes that Jian is the opposite of what he thought he was. After that, Kim and Jian leave Si-hun with one of their soldiers and set off for the mission. Within moments, they reach the volcano and enter a tunnel. They are moving forward with the bomb when suddenly another earthquake starts. The electricity in the tunnel goes out. There's a lift in the tunnel, and according to their plan, they need to use it to take the nuclear bomb down. But now, with no electricity, it's impossible to take the lift down. Kim then tells Jian that the lift is connected to a rope. He says he'll cause a small explosion in the rope, which will make the lift fall straight down, and he can go down with the bomb. He thanks Jian for helping him and tells him to leave after he goes down. But just then, Jian gets into the lift and closes the door from the inside, so Kim can't come in. He then tells Kim to let him complete the rest of the work. He says he's not so selfish as to let Kim die, especially since Kim's child will be born soon. And as a father himself, how can he let a child become fatherless? Kim tells John not to be crazy and to let him do his job, saying he wouldn't forgive himself if anything happened to John. John then says Kim has his whole life ahead of him and he has nothing left to live for. Not even his daughter recognizes him. He also says he's been shot and won't survive anyway, so he asks to complete the mission. John asks Kim if he can promise one thing, that he will look after his daughter. Kim promises John that he will raise his daughter as his own. John is very happy about this. After that, John ignites the bomb and goes straight down in the lift. Meanwhile, Yoonju goes into labor with Professor Rocky and Soo-yoon by her side. Kim runs out of the tunnel and drives towards the city. He's sad for John, but he can't do anything else. Meanwhile, a huge nuclear explosion occurs inside the volcano, meaning John completed the mission by sacrificing his life. He saved everyone in the city, and everyone is very happy. Then we see what happens a year later. Kim has a son. Kim and his family are very happy. John's daughter Soo-hun is also with them. Kim and his wife love Soo-hun as their own daughter, and Soo-hun has also accepted them as her family. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.